Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel where skincare is all about progression over perfection because perfection doesn't exist. Today I want to look at some of the worst of TikTok beauty. These are TikTok videos that I've been tagged in, you sent me via DMs, or I found myself over on TikTok. That made me question a few things about the world of beauty. These are headphones, by the way. They're the Bose in-ear, open-ear something. People always ask me to have them in. They're very comfortable. I forget I have them in. The app is absolute trash, so don't use that. But I'm going to be wearing them because I'm going to be reacting to these videos. Let's get into this first one, which surrounds a Glow Recipe product. There's actually two.
And I was like unscrewing it. You're telling me that this for $40.
Okay, stop. I literally ran to my drawer to get this because I needed to know, are they all like this or is hers like defective? You guys can see I have not opened this product. So this is OG. Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? This is what we're paying for? Not what looks like this amount. This amount is what we're paying for. I am a Glow Recipe diehard girl.
Okay, pause it there. So you are not paying for what looks like this amount. You are paying for initially the glass that the product comes in. You can very clearly see because glass is see-through, the refill that is inside. This is 50 ml. This is 60 ml. So this is the old version. This is the new recyclable refill option.
So disappointed. I have no words. I'm sorry. All fairness to Glow Recipe, you can actually see from the outside that this isn't full. You can see that there is actually something inside. So, but still, that's a little deceptive.
I don't think it's deceptive. Okay, so I'm on the side of, I'm terrible at checking milliliters, quantities. I always accidentally order bulk products off Amazon without realizing. Like, I think I'm buying a pack of tissues and I'm ordering 50. This isn't really deceptive when products are labeled with how much product is inside. So this is a new unopened one because I go through this stuff like crazy. This says on it, where is it? 50 milliliters. Right? It's a little bit unseeable there, but if you want to know how much product you're getting, you usually check the milliliters. So with this version, you get, as I mentioned, the glass packaging, which you buy refills for. So you get to keep that glass packaging, you get the refill, and you keep the pump as well, which is kind of genius because these pumps usually aren't easily recyclable. So you get this reusable pump. It doesn't look like it, but this is 50 ml and this is 60 ml. It is 10 ml less in all fairness, which is kind of annoying because you're paying roughly the same price. And I did work out for me that 10 ml is roughly about 8 uses at 4 pumps a use. I don't, hang on, let me get the original video.
I'm bewildered on so many different levels. This is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Pink Juice Moisturizer. And I picked it up today and it was like feeling weird. Like something was like loose. I was looking at it, I was like, wait, this pops open, right? So I was like, okay, like screws. And I was like unscrewing it. You're telling me that this for $40 is what you're getting? Do you see how big this is? This is like a big glass container. And this, I haven't even used all of it. I just opened this yesterday. What? It's not even like full. Like, I love Glow, like I'm a Glow Recipe stan. Like I was just about to do my skincare and I came across this and I'm just like, I'm so shocked.
I'm confused by these videos because it's pricey. Glow Recipe has always been a little bit more expensive than what a lot of people like to pay for skincare. But you're not being scammed. You're still being told exactly how much you get. Yes, unfortunately, it's less than you were getting before for roughly the same price, but also they're not tricking you. You have to leave a gap so that the pump can go in with the product not overflowing. On the refills, 50 milliliters. The refills are cheaper than this one because this is the packaging that you put your refills in. And in the grand scheme of things, from what we've seen from different types of refill packaging, this is really decent refill packaging. The whole point of refill packaging is that you have this sturdy outer shell that you buy these throwaway recyclable pods for that you put in. You know, it's not just a pod within another pod. A lot of people in the comments were like, well, you should be doing refill sachets, don't necessarily work out better or worse. And I'm confused by people if you've used this old product before, you look at this and you think, oh, hang on, something's different. The moment you get it out of the box and it's see-through, I'm so confused. I'm confused by this whole video, like both of these videos. With every product, it says how much is in the bottle and the price. And I get that if the issue here is that you're paying the same amount for 10 milliliters, yes, less than when it was in the plain glass bottles. I get that. It's quite annoying, but this isn't scamming. Like, they're not trying to scam you by creating refillable packaging, and because you can't see through glass, it's a scam. I'm genuinely confused. And then she was like, I've not even used it. I've used it one day and it's not even full. You can't, because in order to put things in things, you need room. Otherwise it's going to over. I'm so confused. Am I missing something? Am I missing the point other than it's pricey? I'm so confused. I really don't understand. Anyway, moving on. Clean beauty is at another peak. It's everywhere. Like TikTok, I'm surprised that TikTok hasn't learned better. But clean beauty, those clean beauty apps, everyone's using the EWG and Yuka apps, whatever they're called again. It's having another spike despite the sheer amount of scientific information we have online at the moment. And we're reversing back to the old days of doing these useless experiments to try and prove a point about toxins and chemicals, like this one, for example. So in this video, this creator is trying to show how toxic perfumes are by spraying some grass with a perfume. There are a lot of terrible skincare experiments out there, right? We have people showing you how to cleanse your foundation of properly using fruit. We have people putting sunscreen on bread and then putting it in the toaster. And whilst these two examples don't really prove anything, they are at least a good-ish visual representation of what the brand are trying to say, at least. For those who aren't massively into skincare and find the science of it hard to follow, I kind of get it, don't love it. But spraying perfume on a plant and then watching it die proves that fragrance wasn't made for plants. Tiny blades of grass, for example. But this video was actually meant to be about how the fragrance in perfumes is toxic. Mo Skin Lab over on Instagram, of course, debunked this from a toxicology point of view, but also reassured us that fragrance is indeed tested for safety. But I think it's clear to everybody with any common sense that it's clear that it was the alcohol content of the perfume that probably killed this plant over the fragrant content. Like, we aren't even the same species. This is like feeding a dog a bunch of grapes and the dog getting sick or even potentially dying, touch wood, and then being like, see, this is why humans shouldn't eat grapes. It doesn't make sense. In fact, using one of this content creator's videos, she makes a recipe with coca, how do you say that? Cacao. And again, she's going to consume that recipe absolutely fine because she is human and our bodies can deal with that. Again, feed it to a dog, it's gonna die. Much like plants and humans, the rules are very, very different. The recipe actually looks really, really nice. So not only does this not prove her point that fragrance is bad and toxic, but also just doesn't make sense. Like, this doesn't prove anything because you literally use pretty much a weed killer to kill a bit of grass. It's so weird. The point being that this experiment is a very good representation of how myths about the ingredients in our skincare being toxic, carcinogenic, making you infertile, giving you cancer, how these myths come about and how people think they're seeing this as a very good example in the science, right? But again, what this does show is, again, a very good reflection of what some of these studies actually do, or how, for example, brands like the EWG use certain studies to make a point. More often than not, circumstances, situations, room temperatures, percentages, measurements, the buildup of certain ingredients in our bodies over a certain amount of time do not reflect how our cosmetics are used on a daily basis by humans in skincare. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but isn't it annoying that there's this whole industry that has all these science-based jobs, including toxicologists, safety regulators being the main example here, whose job it is to make sure our cosmetics are regulated and safe. But, you know, fuck them all when a wellness blogger sprayed some grass with a perfume and unsurprisingly it died, you know? Completely off topic, but I was going through this person's recipes because, as I said, I think their profile actually looks really nice for like healthy like snack ideas, trying to be on a bit of a health kick myself. And they cut hard-boiled eggs in half with the shell on. Is that weird? I like peel them and then cut them in half. Is that something people do? Let me know if I'm in the minority, but I won't do that. Okay, let's watch this sponsor. This is a sponsored post by Molly Mayhew for a product from L'Oreal.
I want to tell you guys about the products that I've been using when my skin needs an instant replump. I have fallen in love with the L'Oreal Revitalift filler range. As some of you may know, I have not had the best experience in the past when it comes to actual filler in my face. Discovering this hyaluronic acid serum has been absolutely game-changing for me. This serum replumps my skin in 1 hour and just gives me the most rejuvenated, refreshed look to my skin.
I've been very vocal about Molly Mayhew before in the past. For those who don't know, she is a reality star. I believe she came off Love Island. She's like an entrepreneur in her own right, so I don't want to reduce her down just to being like a reality star in her looks. But she did kick up a bit of a media frenzy when she deleted her filler. Whenever I talk about this and use this picture, people always like, that's not it, that's a Photoshop picture. This picture is grabbed from her own YouTube video by me. Like, it's real. Since then, I've discussed her use of filters in paid adverts on TikTok and Instagram in particular. There's one example where she was talking about skincare, and the filter she was using was so strong that the moles on her face were disappearing, showing us she was using some kind of like light makeup or skin blurring filter. So, because of all of the above, to this day, I still get tagged in her videos, her sponsorships, sent them in my DMs, asking me if she's using a filter. Recently, as I mentioned, she did this advert for a L'Oreal under eye serum, asking if it was a filter, and you know what, I don't think it is. So whatever she's filming it on, it looks like it's just her phone. This just looks like a really shit quality upload. I've noticed, in fact, when she's talking about skincare nowadays, that we are seeing much more realistic looking skin, uneven skin tone, which is perfectly normal, a bit of skin texture when she's closer up to the camera, her moles aren't glitching in and out, but I do see why people may think that this is a filter, but I would say this is phone quality meets TikTok uploads. When it comes to posting on TikTok video in good enough quality that you can see pores, texture, you have to film in a certain film rate and at a certain quality. So I film in 1080p at 30 frames per second, which looks like this on TikTok, whereas this is 4K at 60 frames per second. And I feel like anything that isn't that particular 1080p 30 frames per second, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube squash that quality down and you end up with something like this. It's not even blurred skin, it's just bad quality camera. And you can see that that's not just in her skin, it's in her top, it's in the product, it's in, obviously the background's going to be a little bit blurred, but you can see that it's just not a good quality upload. Of course she uses filters in her other content. I don't really care if she's just posing for a picture, but it's refreshing to see her not use them in skincare content. I wish we didn't live in a world where women especially feel like they do need to filter every single pictures of themselves or face an onslaught of trolling comments about their looks, but credit where credit is due. I called her out for using filters before in paid content. I'm gonna discuss her unfiltered ones too. Speaking of TikTok filters, I've noticed since posting more consistently on TikTok, a worrying trend of filters being used in skincare content. You may not have noticed them, but let me show you this video.
I am sick and fucking tired of social media. I literally just came on here and I had to double take my skin and I was like, has my skin changed within the last hour? My skin looks absolutely porcelain. I'm not gonna lie, this is skin I dream of. This is how my skin looks normally, right now. Those filters are so damaging.
I was already aware that this flawless skin filter existed. You know, there's like a light makeup one too, and how widespread the filter was being used in other people's content, especially in like lifestyle and makeup. But then I started to notice it in skincare content. And now I'm not going to be calling out names because I just want to make you aware that this filter exists. So maybe you can use your own kind of like discretion. But some of the most popular skincare content creators use this filter. Now, filters are of course labeled on TikTok, and I think that's a really good step in the right direction. But what a lot of content creators will do is film their video on TikTok using this filter, download it and not post it, and then re-upload the video without the filter tagged or labeled, I should say. If not this filter, then video editing apps like Facetune Video and CapCut have the same kind of filtering kind of things that you can use in order to make your skin look pretty perfect. And you know what's so convincing about this filter is that you can still see pores, you can still see texture and a little bit of tone, different tones going on. It's not just a blurred face, which adds this sense of realism to the whole video. This is almost like frequency separation, which is used in Photoshop to retouch skin. That's where you separate the colors of the skin to the texture, so you can work on evening out the colors, but you still show all your pores. And this is what makes it look like natural skin. But I do feel in general, most TikTok users who consume beauty content in particular are aware of these particular types of filters. But this really does push the boundaries of what looks like real skin online. Like that's very, very convincing. If I was looking at that, I would have thought she had maybe just used like a setting powder or something that like made her skin look blurry. For example, let's go back to about Molly May. You can see the difference between this screenshot, for example, and this one. It's just shit quality. I was sent this one in droves. Let's watch it.
And sugar in the palm of my hand. And then just a couple drops of olive oil. And I just mix that in the palm of my hand. So I don't use a makeup remover per se. I really just combine the olive oil and the sugar. And I don't rub it in hard, okay guys, I'm just like softly. So I like wiping it off like this instead of splashing it off because it's all part of the exfoliation. And I'm just gentle about it.
Listen, whatever she's doing, she looks fucking great. She's Shania Twain. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. So of course we have Shania Twain here using a good old fashioned Pinterest days DIY skincare hack, right? For a good exfoliant, you can use olive oil and sugar. That's not coming from me. But this is essentially an exfoliating scrub. It's not really a cleanser. In the longer YouTube video, which I watched her full routine, she explains that she does this because she learned that oil will cleanse away makeup and sunscreen. You know, other oils attract oils, like dissolves like type of thing. I do not doubt this about other oils and oils in general. We know that's true. And I'd much personally rather use an oil that's made as an oil cleanser, which I'll talk about in a minute. But you can use other oils, probably not olive oil though, from your kitchen cupboard. A huge part of oil cleansing and cleansing in general is to be able to rinse away that oil. You can rub olive oil all over your face, jump into the shower, come out, and you'll still have olive oil on your face. Like barely any water is going to get through it. That's because one of the main things that makes a good cleansing oil is the emulsification process. This is what makes the oil be able to dissolve in water. So emulsifying that oil turns milky. Olive oil, especially when it doesn't get rinsed away in areas like your hairline, if you have facial hair, of course your facial hair, eyebrows, crevices, corners of your face, it can really break you out and linger for the longest time. I know this because when I used to work for Lush, I used to swear by like olive oil as a cleansing stage. And I also think you should exfoliate separately. I hate like the 2-in-1 cleansing exfoliation kind of thing. I don't know why, I just feel like you need to exfoliate on a clean canvas. But also what we can see when she was actually kind of mixing these things together was the olive oil was like sinking into the sugar and turning into like little clumps. So you aren't really getting any kind of cleansing benefit from the olive oil anyway. What was probably cleansing her skin most there was the warm, damp towel more than anything. I don't know, each to their own. She looks great. If it works for her, keep doing it. But I wish people would just use skincare. She said like doing this is more convenient for travel because every hotel will always have sugar and some olive oil. Get minis. You can buy minis nowadays, like mini everything. DIY back in the day was because things would be more affordable for people who maybe couldn't afford this kind of stuff. But you can get such great affordable skincare now. I don't think there's any excuse. There's this really weird, I guess like TikTok genre or genre type of profile. They're weird. These accounts take pictures of like medical industry professionals, whether that be a nurse or like an assistant nurse or a dermatologist or a surgeon or anyone basically that can wear scrubs. And then a random picture of somebody's skin condition, and then they make all these crazy posts about toxic products that a nurse would never recommend, or, you know, I worked in the leading cosmetic surgery clinic for 12 years and these are the products that they don't want you to know about kind of thing. Or, you know, I used to use these products, but now I use these and this is how different my skin look. A random picture of a teenager. When all the person who created these posts has done is kind of like gone to the Yuka app and said things are toxic. And I'm guessing they're a teenager because I don't think adults would post shit like this. And it's annoying because they've just used random pictures of these professionals who probably don't even know they're being used for this. And of course there's authority bias. So when people, and the way the TikTok algorithm works, when they see somebody in scrubs, they kind of instantly believe the post is telling the truth. But it's worrying when they're using these pictures of like a dermatologist or a nurse or a doctor because of that authority bias. So Driven by Beauty, aka Jade on TikTok, whose content I love, very no BS approach to misinformation on skincare. Watch this TikTok, which has now been deleted.
This is quite possibly the most unethical thing I think I've ever seen on this platform. This page, Beauty Sis needs to go. Utilising this image of an unknown nurse, they say, we just had a 19-year-old girl pass away of an infection using toxic mascara products. It's a carousel, so when you swipe, the first thing that comes up is the Lash Princess from Essence. It says that it contains 25% of lead and oxybenzone and it's made in sweatshops. Bullshit. I have literally just looked this up and I couldn't find any of those ingredients. But don't hold it there. It says that it causes these things. This one contains 50% mercury and metal shavings. Bullshit. But in case you wanted to know, it can cause these things. Disgusting. What is so disgusting is that they have included the image of this nurse and another nurse multiple times on the page for one purpose only, because this is what they're trying to push at you, a lash serum. It's in all their carousels, and all you got to do is click the link in their bio, which will take you to an Amazon page.
So that's terrifying, right? Because as I mentioned, people are going to see this nurse who is posting a story about how she lost a client. No. A patient because of this easily accessible and affordable mascara. So now you have to buy the product they recommend through TikTok Shop, right? Or Amazon. So this image was, of course, deleted, rightfully so, maybe because of Jade's call to action. So this picture of the nurse has now been repurposed by this profile with your beauty sis. She is now a lash tech, and this is the weirdest post. So this is what these posts just do not make sense at all. If you didn't already know this page was a bunch of bullshit, you look at this post and it says, right, when I first started working as a lash tech, I didn't expect this industry to be so corrupt. Here are the secrets they force us to hide from you. So you think, oh my God, they're going to tell us something about the glue used in the lash industry or where the lashes come from, or it's destroying our eyelids or whatever. So the first slide is about exercise and diet and how you should follow this 30-30-30 rule. So what's that got to do with being a lash tech again? And like, who was hiding what from who? I don't understand. And then the next one's about bee pollen and how, like, if you take organic bee pollen, you go up a cup size. Again, I don't understand how the lash industry is corrupt or the beauty industry is corrupt because they're not telling you about bee pollen. I don't know. I'm so confused. They go on to say about how you can heal breakouts using natural remedies and how bottled shampoo was banned. From what? From what? Who banned bottled shampoo? The queen of lash industry? I don't understand. Natural shampoo bars only to save our hair. Like, who is reinforcing this in the lash industry or beauty industry? And then, of course, the final slide is this lash growing serum that they got off Amazon. It's kind of funny, even though it's not supposed to be. If it wasn't so worrying, this profile is kind of funny. There's also one where it's I paid $4,462 to see Kylie Jenner's esthetician. It's a picture of Kim Kardashian with a man who has plastic surgery written on his scrubs. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know what they're doing. The thing is though, teenagers could fall for this. I would have fallen for this back in the day, thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna have to get that lash thing and use all natural fucking bars of soap. So yeah, slightly terrifying. I just want to finish off by saying, I don't know if you remember about the messy situation revolving around a medical student who I reported on in one of my YouTube videos, mainly due to homophobic comments, worrying use of misinformation, and potentially using the doctor title illegally. Well, since then, there has been a bit of back and forth with the doctor posting about how I'm not a specialist or medical specialist of any kind, and I don't know, all this kind of stuff, which I'm an influencer, of course I'm not. I have been blocked by this medical student on all platforms, but because I obviously have a few followers scattered around all social media platforms, her video did make it to my inbox. And because of this, I just wanted to do a reply explaining why I talk about these kind of doctors and why I always refer to specialists when talking about these kind of doctors. Now, I'm not talking about this because I want to talk about it in general. It's over. I don't really care too much. But what I did want to say is that the amount of support that I got from subscribers, followers, I got a whole load of new followers from this. It was just so nice to see. And from a work perspective, I've taken a lot of time to kind of like restructure my content over the last 2 to 3 years, going from somebody who just reviews skincare to somebody who now I have connections within the industry. Now I know how this industry works and how I'm really good, friendly acquaintances with a lot of people who work within the science sector of skincare, how I want to use that to my advantage to make videos like this and the type of videos I do so that we as consumers aren't fooled by dodgy doctors online, brands making false promises. And I feel like with the support that I got from not just subscribers, but people within the industry, whether that's other skincare reviewers, whether that's cosmetic chemists, biologists, dermatologists, surgeons. I've got a whole new influx of doctors following me now. I feel like that was appreciated, and I really, really appreciated the support. And more than anything, what the situation has kind of showed me is that I'm doing the right thing, and that I have the support of a lot of well-respected people within the industry, which I knew anyway because we're in each other's DMs. We all talk. I'd like to thank you, especially if you did show some support during that video. Again, I didn't need it, like I wasn't upset or anything, but it was nice just to know it's there. And it's amazing to see where the online skincare community has come, to the point where skincare influencers, product reviewers are working hand in hand with the actual scientists within this industry. I think it's just super, super interesting. And I'm not going to stop talking about these people because, as I mentioned before, I don't like people bullshitting us. It's dangerous. It's annoying, especially when there's like a homophobic twist put on it as well. So I hope you appreciate that. I hope nobody thinks that I do these videos just to cause some kind of drama because it's a good clickbait title, which things are, of course they are, but it's so that I can hopefully show what I've learned through the people who are well respected within the industry. So yes, let me know what you thought about these stories in the comments down below. You can watch the whole When Beauty Turns Ugly playlist here, which includes ugly news, and I'll see you next time.